Thank you for joining us today. My name is Gail Watson, President and CEO of Women Speakers Association, the go-to place for innovative leaders, change agents, and women with a message to connect, to collaborate, and grow her visibility worldwide. And as part of helping to fulfill her mission, we are very excited to introduce you to Voices of the 21st Century, a book featuring a collection of female voices rising up to educate, guide, and inspire. And here with us today is our featured author, Desiree Aragon, a bold, brave, and brilliant woman who shares her powerful story. I'd like to welcome you to the show, Desiree.
I feel like I should come running in. Woo!
Right?
Yeah. I'm so happy to be here, Gail, as you already know. I'm a huge fan of the authors that are in this book and so proud to be a part of the Women Speakers Association.
Thank you. So I want to dive right into your story because you bring up a story, a very personal story that speaks to anxiety and how that plays a big role in our lives and how it impacts our relationships around us. And many of us, probably all of us, relate to it at some point in time in our life. So let's talk about a little bit about your story and why now do you feel that you need this, brought out in Voices of the 21st Century?
Oh, wow. Okay, so many things to share. Why now? Because I have lived with generalized anxiety for my entire life, but I jokingly refer to myself as a high-functioning anxious person. What that means is that I've had this pretty good ability to chameleon to my environment, to create safety, and to make it so that people feel comfortable around me and I feel comfortable around them. Therefore, the fact that I was experiencing anxiety wasn't always obvious. I went through a divorce in the last couple of years, and when my lifetime of anxiety met with the divorce, I could no longer mask the anxiety. Everything smashed together and created total chaos in my life. As if the divorce wasn't enough, having the anxiety inserted into the divorce just made a mess of everything.
That's quite a collision.
Collision's the perfect word, too.
Yeah, that's a little, so let's dive into that a little bit more about when anxiety meets divorce. I mean, what's showing up in that?
So for me, it looked like where I've always been high functioning or someone who feels value from contributing. I found that I was having a difficult time contributing in the way that I was used to. I would show up for somebody because I made a commitment to it, but then I would find that I needed several days to recover. I would need more energy just to be present, whether that was, say, for an appointment at the kid's school to meet with the school counselor and the kiddo, or if it was something work related, it would be so taxing that I would need days of recovery rather than maybe, an hour. I was doing my normal practices of good nutrition, meditation, yoga. I was actually increasing those at the time of the divorce, thinking I needed them. And as I was doing that, sure enough, what transpired was all those good practices weren't helping. They weren't getting me the results that I'm used to. I wasn't feeling calmer. I wasn't feeling better. I wasn't feeling okay. I was almost, I want to say, magnetically stuck to my bed and forcing myself up to care for my kiddos.
Wow. That's hard. It's very hard. Tell me, when you share this story, what do you expect someone to take away from it? I mean, really, who is this, and who's this, who do you want to have read this?
Yeah, that's such a good question, right? Of course, anybody who's walked through a major life transition like the end of a relationship, I think would find value in reading it. But who I really want to read it are people who might be like me, who have practices that they've tried, such as affirmations, yoga, meditation, in order to be able to work through anxiety. And at some point in their life journey, that no longer works. I had all of those techniques and tools already in place, and I highly recommend them. But along the time that the divorce came, the kids changed schools, our housing changed, my finances changed, my self-employment goals changed, my long-term work goals would eventually be challenged. When all of that happened, it was no longer enough to just use my holistic practices, and I had to engage in with a social worker and with psychiatric care and even with some anti-anxiety meds in order to get me over the hump of this journey. So I encourage anybody who is curious about whether or not meds might be right for them. I'm not saying people need to use meds. What I am saying is if you have a curiosity about that, my story might be of interest to you.
Right. First, I just have to really thank you for being so raw, so truthful. I mean, we're talking about a situation that only took place just 2 years ago. So this is still very present in your world, I'm sure. And to be so open to share it and to want to serve and help others is, really amazing. And I just have to really thank you for having the courage to share this highly vulnerable side of you.
Well, I want to offer some additional context with that gratitude, Gail. So first, I've known you for a long time, and the honor to be a part of the Voices of the 21st Century is such a blessing, and I think has been a catalyst for me in getting the help that I needed, actually. And I want to point out that the separation with my marital relationship was in 2 years ago from when we're recording this video. However, my decision to seek psychiatric care and be a part of an intensive outpatient program and do medication did not actually happen until 4 months ago. So even though I had a diagnosis of generalized anxiety, I ignored it. And then I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and I ignored it. And I kept trying to push forward with my optimism and my hope. And the opportunity to be a voice of the 21st century came forward, and I realized that I needed to be of and in the world, and I wanted to be authentic. And that actually was a catalyst for me to say, well, what's the thing that I haven't done yet? And that's when I opened my heart and my mind to what else I needed to really get to the other side of where my pain was and where my mental health options were stuck. And I made a new decision and I tried something else. And I have to give Women Speakers Association voices and all women who are willing to talk about their stories credit for helping me to look at something I hadn't looked at before.
Woohoo! I just feel like let's race down again. You know what? You are a voice of the 21st century. You are truly demonstrating and to others. I mean, you are literally kicking the stigma of the classification mental health, right, to the curb. Because you know what? We don't have to hide behind it. We can be going through it, but that doesn't mean we can't function, we can't socialize, we can't do all these things. So you know what? What a huge, huge difference that you are standing for and creating, and the impact to others will be massive. So good on you. Way to go. Okay.
Yes. And Gail, I promise you that, knowing such inspirational women who are willing to give their voice, like the other women that are authors in this book, and as well as my mom, who comes from generations of women who were suffering from different mental ailments and anxiety being pervasive across generations. I'm not just doing this for me. I'm not just doing it for my children. And I'm not just doing it for our fellow authors and our readers. I'm doing it for the the generations of women who have struggled with mental health but haven't been able or willing to talk about it because of the stigma that's there. So thank you for acknowledging the stigma, and thank you for recognizing that we're cleaning the slate and we are who we are, and sometimes we need extra kinds of help. It may be holistic help, it may be medication, it may be something else, but we're willing to receive it, and we're willing to stand in our power and say we're still strong, we're still bright, we're still capable, and we're getting the help we need when we need it.
And thank you for opening the conversation. So I know there's people watching right now and listening, and you are just filling their heart. And so if you're hearing her words, Desiree's words, and you're connecting, this is a story that you definitely want to get your hands on and read. But more than that, if there's if there's a name popping into your mind right now, someone in your world that is suffering from any kind of mental health issues or going through big transitions within their life, I can't think of a more perfect gift to give someone, but to give them this story, because it really says, hey, you're not alone, right? So Desiree, if I wanted to get a copy of this book, of your book from you directly, and maybe even have a little autograph message in it, personalization, where could I go to do that?
Yeah, you can purchase a book from me at DesireeAragon.com. So that's DesireeAragon.com. And there's my contact information there, and you can just reach out, phone, text, email, whatever works for you, or of course the normal social media profiles.
There you go, anywhere.
That's it.
That's good.
We're not hard to find these days, Gail. We're not hard to find.
No, we're not, right? And you have such a great name, so it's easy to find. Well, Desiree, I appreciate you so much. And as Desiree mentioned, we do have a history together of from corporate days to transitioning to entrepreneurs and into to be sharing in this experience with this book together has just been magical. So, Desiree, I know that you always have the perfect words and always the right word. You're so full of wisdom. Is there something that you would like to leave in conclusion to the listeners today?
Yeah. No matter how much you're hurting, no matter what you're going through, no matter how someone may have hurt you, choose love. Always choose love.
Oh, choose love. Oh, I love you. You're awesome.
I love you, my friend.
All right. And thank you to our listeners for joining in today and sharing your time. And we look forward to connecting with you again real soon, where we can introduce you to another amazing woman with her amazing stories. Thanks for joining us.